Sorry that I snagged your wonderful fiancé. Are you jealous? Envious?
Why people who can only look down on others have such ugly expressions? My sister, once so cute, looked distorted in front of me. My sister and her husband looked down on my husband as well as me. My anger reached its peak, and I couldn't hold back any longer. My name is Monica. I'm 27 and work at a printing company. That doesn't mean I'm operating huge machines or anything. I belong to a design department. I work on flyers and catalogs for various businesses, listening to clients' requests and designing accordingly. With everything going digital, there are fewer print orders, but the design work is still busy and fulfilling. Thankfully, I have more clients specifically requesting me.
As for the flyer for the Christmas event, people thought it was adorable.
Hearing comments like that truly makes me happy. This work has become my purpose in life. I even thought I might stay single forever, dedicated to my job, until one day. My dad had to go to the hospital for an appendectomy. When I went to visit him, a young doctor approached me and said,
"Hi there, are you visiting someone today?"
That doctor named Tom is now my boyfriend and fiancé. You just never know when or where life will introduce you to someone. Despite being all about my job, I found myself buying wedding magazines the moment marriage became a topic. I might be a bit over the moon. I was flipping through a magazine while sipping coffee in my living room. That's when it happened. Suddenly, a hand reached out. The magazine was snatched from me.
Hey, what's this? A wedding magazine? Why are you checking that out?
This is none of your business, Stacy.
The one who suddenly snatched the magazine from me was my sister, Stacy, who's 2 years younger.
Marriage, for someone like you? Try looking in a mirror first. You should know your place. It's not like you even have a boyfriend. Meanwhile, I've never been without one. Oh, speaking of which, my current boyfriend is.
Even though no one asked, Stacy began boasting about her boyfriend. She's always been like this. Unlike my plain looks, she is quite pretty. She's always been popular. Except for our parents and me, everyone around Stacy never denied her. As a result, she started thinking she was the center of the universe. Grown up arrogant, Stacy eventually began looking down on me, her older sister.
Stay away from me. Your ugly face might rub off on me. Even if you study with that brain of yours, you won't get good grades. Why waste your time? I got another date proposal today. It's so hard being so popular. I bet you're jealous since nobody likes you, huh?
She would constantly say. No matter how strictly our parents scolded her, it was too late. Her personality didn't change, and her insults toward me never stopped. Fed up with her constant bragging about her boyfriend, I sighed deeply and decided to speak up.
I do have a boyfriend. In fact, I'm engaged and getting married soon. That's why I'm looking at these magazines.
My words made her stop in her tracks. Stacy stared at me, then smirked with a mocking grin.
Well, isn't that something? Some guy actually likes you. What on earth does he see in you?
He says he likes that I'm energetic and cheerful.
No way. He probably just sees you as a housekeeper.
I'm keeping my job, so he knows I won't be a perfect housewife.
Stacy reacted with exaggerated shock.
Huh? You're getting married and still planning to work? Poor you, marrying a broke guy.
She was really annoying. She just couldn't resist looking down on me.
Money's not the issue. He's a doctor with a good income. I just want to keep working.
As soon as I snapped back, she fell silent. I sighed and returned to my room, unaware that she muttered under her breath.
Marrying a doctor, well, that is interesting.
When it comes to marriage, the first thing you do is go and meet the parents to let them know what's happening. First, Tom came to my place to meet my family. We were having a nice time, but that changed the moment Stacy showed up.
So, this is your fiancé? Not bad. He's pretty good looking.
Stacy? I thought you were out.
Well, I obviously canceled my plans because your fiancé was coming over.
At first, I'd felt relieved thinking she wasn't around, because I had nothing but a bad feeling. A few times in the past, when we were still students, Stacy stole my boyfriend. After starting work, I hadn't dated much, and Stacy was always finding new guys, so nothing like that had happened. I felt uneasy about her being there, but surely, now that she was an adult, she wouldn't steal my fiancé. I wanted to believe that. However, Stacy was acting overly friendly with Tom. Maybe it was just me, but Tom seemed to be blushing a bit. That uneasy feeling of mine hit the mark perfectly.
Can you just call off the wedding? I'm breaking up with you to be with Stacy.
I never thought Stacy would steal my fiancé even as a grown-up.
Sorry that I stole your fiancé. But it can't be helped. Since I'm way cuter and more attractive. Tom was practically begging me. Being pretty is a sin.
Her words weren't apologetic in the least as she sneered down at me. Beside her, my ex-fiancé Tom laughed as he added,
Seriously, if I'd known you had such a cute sister, I never would have gotten engaged to you. Glad we didn't get married.
Seeing his twisted smirk, any lingering affection I had for him disappeared entirely, leaving only disgust.
I'm glad too. Better off not marrying someone who's so quick to run off with someone else. You can have him, Stacy, he's all yours.
Pfft, she's crying sour grapes.
Yeah, she was never cute, even to the end.
That wasn't just sour grapes, but I meant every word. However, it was clear those two weren't going to understand that.
Being around you two is a total waste of my time. Goodbye.
She is still talking big for someone who lost. Yeah, it's a waste of our time too. Let's not meet again, bye.
Still looking down on me, the two of them left. After that, my furious parents cut them off, and I never saw them again. I heard through the grapevine that they got married. That wasn't my concern anymore, though. 3 years had passed since I cut ties with Stacy and Tom. I turned 30, still thriving at work. In the meantime, one of my clients grew fond of my work and kept requesting me. His name is Ken. As we talked more through work, he somehow ended up inviting me to dinner. Then he asked me on a date. On one of those dates, he asked me to be his girlfriend. To be honest, I was thrilled. Ken was a very sincere man, and I didn't think he'd ever do what my ex had done. However, it seemed Stacy had left me with a bit of trauma. Surely not, but still. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I couldn't help but worry a little. Therefore, I decided to be honest. I told him about my sister and my ex-fiancé. I even showed Ken a picture of her, watching his reaction carefully. Nevertheless, even after looking at her photo, his expression didn't change at all. He casually looked away from the picture, and then gave me a warm, gentle smile.
I know this might sound strange, but I was pretty popular back in the day. I've met women who were prettier or more striking than your sister, yet for some reason, none of them ever really stirred me. I used to think I'd be single forever, that maybe I just wasn't meant to be with anyone. But I was wrong.
What do you mean?
Because of my line of work, I think I have a good sense for people. No matter how beautiful someone may look on the outside, it doesn't compare to inner beauty. I realized that when I met you, Monica.
Well, what does that mean?
I thought you were shining.
Huh?
When you talk about your work, you come alive. You light up, and it's beautiful. Not just at work, but during meals, on our dates. You always laugh like you're genuinely enjoying yourself. I can tell that you truly enjoy spending time with me. Your love for life comes through so clearly. You're absolutely radiant.
What are you talking about?
I was mortified, but Ken just continued.
Monica, you're beautiful. The most beautiful and most amazing person I've ever met. Please, let's date with marriage in mind. I really, from the bottom of my heart, want to.
Stop. That's enough. You're making me nervous.
I stopped him, my face flushed, but he didn't stop complimenting me. Even after I agreed to date him, his words of praise kept coming. I was so nervous. A year later, Ken and I got married, and we officially became husband and wife. Our newlywed life was going smoothly, and I felt like we'd grown even closer. We each did chores when we could. Having lived alone for so long, Ken might actually be better at them than I was. When I was exhausted, his home-cooked meals tasted like the best food in the world. We often spent our days off going out together. One weekend, he mentioned wanting to go look for furnitures, so we decided to go out. That was when I had a nightmare-like reunion with a familiar face.
Well, well. I thought I saw some dull woman here, but it's you.
I heard a voice from behind while browsing the bedding section. I didn't have to turn around to know who that was. Even though 4 years had passed, I hadn't forgotten.
Stacy.
My sister was standing there, accompanied by my ex-fiancé, Tom. Her face looked more stern than before, maybe from age or her personality becoming more apparent. Tom was grinning too, but he seemed a bit thinner.
Fancy seeing you here. What are you doing?
Nothing. Just looking for furniture.
This place sells a lot of imported items, you know? Kind of high-end. Doesn't seem like your kind of place.
As usual, her condescending attitude was exhausting. Beside her, Tom was nodding in agreement.
That's right. Having someone like you around drags this place down. People might even think we're broke too. Why don't you just leave?
Their condescending words irritated me, but engaging with them was a waste of time. I stayed silent. Perhaps they didn't like that because their voices grew louder.
Ugh. This fancy store is ruined. Why would a broke person come here? Like they can afford anything.
Yeah, broke people should just leave.
Other customers and staff started glancing over, wondering what was going on. Feeling fed up, I took Ken's hand, ready to walk away, but he didn't move. Only then did Stacy and Tom seem to notice him.
Oh, who's this? What are you to her?
I'm Ken, Monica's husband.
Stacy's eyes widened.
Huh? You actually married this plain Jane? Are you serious? That's brave. Or did you need a housekeeper? This is hilarious.
I do the chores too. We both work, so it's only fair.
Oh, you both work? That's too bad. You're so poor she has to work too? Pity. I'm a stay-at-home wife, living the high life. We eat out more than half the week, and I hire help for the housework. Sorry you're stuck being a loser.
Her way of speaking made my irritation grow. She grinned and said,
Sorry, I stole your wonderful fiancé. Now you're married to a broke guy and still have to work. Plus, he's so plain. You two are a perfect match. I bet you're jealous I'm so happy. Envious, huh?
Only you would marry a man who can't even support his wife. You're doomed to struggle forever, loser.
I'd had enough. If they were only insulting me, I might have ignored that, but I couldn't tolerate them bad-mouthing Ken too.
Listen here, you.
Monica, it's all right.
Ken interrupted, stepping in front of me just as I was about to shout.
Oh, you said your name was Ken, huh? Even your name is lame.
Thanks for your opinion. Here's my card if you please.
As Tom took the card, Ken turned to Stacy.
You're awfully harsh toward Monica, aren't you?
It's just the truth. I have every right to call an ugly person ugly. That's my rule.
There's no such rule, and personally, I find you far more unattractive.
Excuse me.
Maybe I should say it's your character. You seem confident in your looks, but do you not realize how your warped attitude toward others shows through?
Ken's words were polite, yet sharp. Stacy's face flushed with anger.
Are you kidding me? What part of me is unattractive?
Every part, really. Beautiful people don't envy their sisters or steal their fiancés.
Huh? When did I ever envy her?
People tend to want to surpass those they look up to. Could it be that Monica is someone you envy?
No way, that's ridiculous.
I was surprised, not only by Ken's words, but by her reaction, too. I'd never thought that way. Stacy had always looked down on me. Yet, seeing her shaken, I started to wonder.
If someone didn't matter to you, you just ignore them. No matter who Monica was with, you wouldn't feel the need to take them from her. After all, they weren't someone you found on your own. Taking what belongs to someone else shows jealousy that they achieved something you couldn't.
I told you, I'm not jealous.
Maybe you want to feel superior by taking from her so you can reassure yourself you're better. In other words, you're insecure. Confident people don't need to take from others to feel proud of themselves.
That's not true.
She tried to argue back against his words, but her voice grew weaker and weaker.
Wait, I know his name.
Tom suddenly shouted, breaking the silence. He looked back and forth between the business card and Ken, his face pale, shaking Stacy by the shoulder.
Come on. What is it?
This name. I thought it looked familiar, so I checked and...
Huh? Ken Smith? So what?
It's the name of the hospital I work at.
Really? Hospital? Yeah. The Smith Medical Center. Wait.
D.R. Smith, the director and chairman. This is his son.
Are you serious? No way. That's a common name, so it must be someone else.
He's come to the hospital several times, and I've seen him with the director, so I'm sure. I just didn't recognize him right away from afar, but...
If he's the son, then he must be a doctor, right? But the name of the company on this card says, wait, huh?
Not every doctor's son becomes a doctor, and this company is a major pharmaceutical company. I heard the founder recently handed it down to his grandson.
That's right. I'm that grandson.
As Ken gave a polite smile, Stacy and Tom gasped in horror.
What did you say? No way!
Man, oh no.
Stacy let out a scream, and Tom looked like he was about to collapse. Ken quietly spoke to the two of them, who had turned pale.
I met Monica through my work before I took over my grandfather's business. Stacy, I'd heard a little about you, but this is even worse than I imagined.
Well,
Unable to speak, she stammered. Then Ken turned to Tom.
To help others, you have to be compassionate. Yet, instead of empathy, you look down on others and mock them. Who would want care from a doctor like that?
That's just a misunderstanding.
Tom tried to explain, his face pale. However, Ken's eyes flashed and he said,
No excuses. I'll be speaking to my father about you. Wait for your fate.
No, please, no.
Tom slumped in defeat. Stacy stood in shock, unable to process that all. Turning our backs on them, we walked away. I knew we'd probably never see them again. With that thought, I walked forward without looking back. What happened after that? Although Tom wasn't fired, he was demoted, stripped of responsibility, and had his pay significantly reduced. Apparently, his arrogant behavior toward others and cold attitude toward patients had finally caught up with him, and people around him began to give him the cold shoulder. In the end, he quit, practically fleeing the hospital. Rumors spread quickly through the medical community, and he struggled to find a new job, leaving him unemployed and in a difficult financial situation. What had become of Stacy? It turned out she'd always had a spending problem, and despite Tom's high income, their lifestyle had already been quite tight. That was why he had lost weight. It wasn't just weight loss, but he looked completely drained. After Tom's demotion, Stacy quickly decided to cut her losses and filed for divorce. If Tom was out of the picture, she figured she'd just find a new man. However, that didn't go as planned. Even Ken had commented on that, and I'd noticed that too. Stacy was once cute in her youth, but gradually had a harshness to her face. Maybe her personality was showing through, and her days of attracting men were over. My parents called me one day to tell me she'd shown up at their house. Sobbing, she said,
Nobody will take care of me or spoil me. How could they ignore someone as cute as me?
On top of that, I heard she had been saying,
She found an amazing guy. I need to one-up her.
By she was obviously talking about me. Was that one-upping me part of some law in her world? Stacy apparently always admired me. That's what Ken said, and maybe there was some truth to it. Even so, that doesn't mean I can forgive her actions, though. In the end, she wasn't welcomed back at home and was told it was her own fault, so she disappeared into the night. I have no idea what happened to her after that. I doubt I'll ever hear her name again. Meanwhile, freed from the shadow of Stacy and Tom, I am living a peaceful life. A calm married life. A job that I'm passionate about. A fulfilling, happy life. And, soon, we'll be a family of 3. As I gazed at my computer monitor, I gently stroked my growing belly.